Hello, this is Marc from My Keys to Music. Thanks for joining me on this 100th video. The sounds you just heard come from a Nord Stage 3 keyboard synthesizer. And in this training and tutorial video, we're going to take a look at these sounds a little closer. The name of the song is called Take On Me. The name of the group is Aha, and they're from Norway. They were made famous back in 1984/85. The MTV Music Awards were awarded to this group because of their innovative video that they had at the time, which featured like a live pencil sketch. And as a keyboard player, this sound in this song just hit you over the head like, wow, this is something that you're going to be a companion with for the rest of your life. Once you hear the catchiness of this tune and the fact that it's a keyboard-based oriented sound or song, that's it. You're in. You're hooked, especially if you love keyboards like I do. The other thing about this song is the fact that the vocal range is so crazy. He goes all the way from these low notes all the way to the high notes, and I was always impressed with that singing. Very special, very catchy. So this song really does resonate with me, and I'm sure it resonates with a lot of you as well. Those who want to see this song broken down into pieces and constructed from scratch, you might want to consider checking out a video from Dr. Mix. His channel does songs like this, among many other things related to synthesizers and keyboards, but he also dissected this song and constructed it from scratch. You'll love seeing this, so I'll put a link above here as well as below in the description below this video. Take a look at Dr. Mix. Today's focus is really about this song as it relates to the Nord Stage 3. As a lot of you are subscribed to this channel, you are obviously Stage 3 owners, and many of you have taken my courses at My Keys to Music. So with that in mind, what I'd like to do is show you a couple of different options. The first part of the video, you noticed I was playing a pad in the left hand while playing the lead part in the right hand. But in order to make the lead part sound correct or more correct, I have to play octaves, and they happen very quickly. So if you're a new keyboard player, this might be a frustrating challenge for you to play this sound at the speed in octaves. So what we'll do here is show you another way where we can sacrifice the pad sound and use both panel A and B, where panel A is on one octave and panel B is on the other octave. That way you can play the lead part with a single finger versus octaves. Now, before I dig in, I have to give a special thanks to, yet again, Marc Stallings for coming up with this sound or these series of sounds. Guy is amazing. So if you want to find out more about Marc Stallings or contact him directly about making sounds for you or other things that he could be hired for, you can check out his email down below this video, and we'll put it in the description so you can contact him. All right, let's dig into the Stage 3 and see how we construct these sounds. Okay, so for the Take On Me intro program, we have a panel A and B. So on panel A, that's the high part that you hear at the very beginning, and on panel B, I have the pad sound. All right, so first panel A, the high part. Also note we have a split here on C4. So the synth here that you're hearing now on panel A is going to be playing on the right side of the keyboard, and it's representing the very beginning of that song. So we'll take it step by step here. We've got the classic saw wave on the classic section, and it's using the fourth configuration in, which is the fine detune. So we've got a sawtooth wave that we're detuning with a 0 semi option. And then I'll hold the monitor here and we'll take a look. The oscillator control is a 0.13. Let's just see there is 0 here for the LFO versus modulation envelope. So nothing happening there. We have the LFO amount at a 0 here. Okay, the frequency, that's going to be something, I'm sure, 14 hertz for the frequency. Resonance is a 0, and the velocity versus modulation envelope is set to a 6.3, so probably right around here, 6.3 for the mod envelope. And because that's used, we're going to need to focus our attention over here on this envelope, the modulation envelope, and we need a 0.5 milliseconds for the attack. We have an 8.11 seconds for the decay, and the release is a 19 seconds. So that's the modulation envelope, no velocity on that. All right, continuing on over with the filter here, we've got the LPM filter along with keyboard tracking all the way to 3, no drive. Up here, we don't have mono or legato, so we're using polyphony in that case. We have no unison, no arpeggiator. We do have a vibrato of a DY3. If you listen in, you'll hear it vibrate there towards the end of that decay, or that release, I should say. Then for the amp envelope, we have 0.5 milliseconds for the attack. We have the decay, sustain all the way to sustain, and the release is a 2.67 seconds release with no velocity on that. So that takes care of the main parts of that. Let's take a look at the effects here. For the effects, we have effect 2, which is a chorus 2. The amount on that, or I should say the rate, is a 3.8 for the rate. The amount is a 4.3. Chorus 2. Right next to that, we have the digital delay also on. For the digital delay, we are looking at a tempo of 714 milliseconds, also known as 84 beats per minute. Then we have the feedback amount of 0, and we actually have the bandpass filter happening along with ping pong, also in analog mode. So 0 feedback on that setting, and then for the dry wet setting or the mix, 3.5. So that's the delay. Next, we have the reverb, which is a Hall 2 bright setting, and the dry wet setting at a 5.5. So that takes care of the upper sound. Okay, now the pad sound. For the pad sound, we are using the super saw for the oscillator with no additional configuration happening there. Then we'll take a look at the LFO modulation amount is 0, so nothing to worry about there. And the oscillator amount here doesn't matter either because there's no configuration happening. The LFO amount here is also 0, and the modulation versus velocity amount is 0 here as well. Resonance is 0, and that just leaves us with the filter frequency of a 2.8 kilohertz. While we're on the topic of filters, we will go right here to the LP12 filter with no keyboard tracking, no drive. Up here, we're not using mono or legato. We're not using the unison mode. We're not using the arpeggiator and no vibrato. I guess that leaves us with the amp envelope. So let's take a look at that. We have 75 milliseconds for the attack. The sustain decay is all the way to sustain. And then the release amount is 2.21 seconds. No velocity there. That takes care of the synth engine. Again, the LFO, we can ignore that because there's nothing turning the LFO on. All right, then over here we also have effects. We have an effect 2 here. This time we're using chorus 1, and the rate on that is a 3.4 rate, and the amount is a 4.3. So 3.4, 4.3 on the chorus 1. Right next to that, we also have digital delay happening. We've got a tempo of 600 milliseconds, also known as 100 BPM. No particular filter. There is a ping pong happening. The feedback amount is a 3.7, and the dry wet setting is a 3.5 mix. All right, we also have reverb on this. The reverb is set to a stage 2, not bright. And the reverb amount or the dry wet setting is a 5.5. So that takes care of your pad sound. Now that's just for the intro. So you saw me play the intro, and then while I'm holding the pad sound, I'm flipping over to the next program with the seamless transitions, and that's where I play the rest of the song. So this configuration here that you're going to learn on the right side, which is the main lead synth, this will be configuration number 1, which is the one where you're going to play octaves. So in that case, I'm using just the one panel. In this case, what is it? Panel B? Yeah, it's panel B. So let's figure out what's making this sound. Now, by itself, it's not terrible, but you are really missing something if you don't play octaves there. Hear the difference? All right, so let's do this configuration, and then I'll show you the final configuration where you can use the one hand to do, or the one finger, I should say, to do that lead part. All right, so this one looks like this. We have a configuration of a classic saw with configuration number 4, which is fine detune. And this time we are doing a 12 semi adjustment on that. So just like that. And then we have the LFO amount and modulation amount to 0. So that's 0. Oscillator control in this case is a 0.10. So you need to put that way to the left, just a touch above 0. Then we have the LFO amount of 0 here. The frequency cutoff is a 69 hertz for the frequency. The resonance is a 1.2. There's actually a little bit of that happening as well. And then the velocity modulation envelope is a 10, which puts it all the way to the right here. Okay, that means that we need to now focus on this. So we need to look at our modulation envelope settings, and we have the attack at a 0.5. We have the decay at a 1.3 seconds and the release at 1.21 seconds. No velocity on that. All right, we have the LPM filter, no keyboard tracking, no drive. Up here we have no mono legato. We do have unison on to a 3, no arpeggiator, and we have the vibrato amount against the wheel. But I don't think it's necessary for this song. I'm not sure if that was just artifact of how the song was originally programmed, but I don't think it needs a wheel aspect to make this sound happen. Although that would be a question for Marc Stallings. So let's take a look at the attack of a 0.5 milliseconds, the decay sustain all the way to sustain, and the release 4.35 seconds, no velocity on that. So for an effect 2, we are using chorus 2, and the rate on that is a 2.6. The amount is a 3.3. Chorus 2. Right next to that, we have a digital delay. That's set for a tempo of 125 milliseconds, also known as 120 beats per minute. We have ping pong happening, no filter, no analog mode. We do have a feedback amount of 5 and a dry wet setting of a 3.1 in the mix. And then finally we have reverb. So the reverb is set to Hall 2, which is the big reverb here for the stage 3. Also set to bright, and the reverb amount is 4.2. So that takes care of that sound. Again, playing this in octaves. All right. So together, this would be good if you can manage the octaves, and then you have the pad with it, and it's pretty effective for the beginning of that song and probably throughout several places of the song. All right, so finally, let's look at this last sound where we have the two sounds combining and giving you that octave effect so you can use one finger to play it. So for this one, we want to be in a position to just use the one finger to play the lead sound. All right, so to do that, what you want to do is you want to take the sound that we created on the previous part of this video here, just the one I did just a moment ago, take that, and that becomes 1/2 of what you need to do. So put that on panel A, let's say, and we'll call that the Take On Me low part. Just think of that as the low part in your mind. Make sure that you have that one set to be 1 octave down, -1 on the octave, and then you can put the volume up to about 3/4 here. Somewhere around -3 dB should do it for that sound. And that's pretty much all you need to do with panel A for that sound. Then you're going to combine that with panel B. And for that one, we'll think of that as the Take On Me high part. Again, both of these coming together to make the one lead sound. So for that one, it's going to be almost identical, but there's a couple of subtle changes here that we need to be aware of. So first, let's start like we always do here in the oscillator section. Take On Me, you want to use classic saw with the 4th configuration, fine detune, and a 12 semi. And then as we look around here, we'll see that the LFO amount is 0. The oscillator control is a 0.10. Then the LFO amount over here is a 0. The frequency is 123 hertz. There's no filter resonance. And the mod envelope is already at a 10 as well. So that means we'll need to look at the attack, which is 0.5 over here in the modulation envelope. 792 milliseconds on the decay. And the release is 588 milliseconds with no velocity. And this LFO rate doesn't matter because there's no LFO here or here. All right, the filter is going to be an LPM. No keyboard tracking or drive. There's no mono legato. There is unison, but only up to 2nd position. So unison to 2. no arpeggiator, and the vibrato on this one is going to be the aftertouch, which I don't even know. Yeah, there's some aftertouch there, but I don't think it's necessary. You might just be able to ignore that. Again, it could be an artifact of the original sound as it was being developed, and that might have been, I don't know if that was intentional or not to have an aftertouch. All right, so let's look at the amp envelope here. This is an attack of 0.5 milliseconds, a decay sustain of 1.7 seconds, and a release of 1.39 seconds. Like in the other examples, we have effects as well. So we have a chorus 1 happening over here in effects 2. So the rate for that is going to be a 3.5, and the amount is going to be 4.0. Chorus 1. Digital delay, we have that as well. The tempo on that is 119 milliseconds, also known as 126 beats per minute. Ping pong is on. No filters, no analog mode. Feedback is 5. And the dry wet setting is 2.8. We have reverb as well. We're going to use a Hall 1. The amount for the reverb is 0. And the amount dry wet is 4.6 with bright setting. This one, you're going to make sure that you make the octave shift a 0. So this one is going to be 1 octave higher than panel A. So panel B sounds like this. Panel A sounds like this. And together they sound like this. And you'll be able to play that with one finger rather than the octaves if it's something you're just learning or you want to just play it with one finger. Now, obviously, you're going to lose your pad sound, and the pad sound currently sounds like the top end sound, so it isn't going to be exact what you're looking for. You could use another keyboard in that case, or you could record it separately, or however you want to work this song. So there's several synth parts going on at once on this song, so I don't know if anyone could play it single-handedly without prepping in some way some of this as pre-recorded, or, again, 2 keyboard players probably could do it no problem. So if you're looking to learn this song step by step, there's a video online that I'll direct you to. I'll put a description below this video as well as in the card window above. If you're looking to reference the lyrics against the chord changes, I'll have a link below this video as well too.